Hello everyone, welcome back to Molly's Cozy Kitchen. Because it's Pride Month, we will be making a rainbow icebox cake. Icebox cakes are made of cookies and whipped cream, so let's make some cookies. Start by creaming together 1.5 sticks of softened butter and 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. These cookies, by the way, are called langue de chat, which is French for tongues of the cat. Anyway, once our butter is nice and fluffy and creamy, we're going to add in 3 eggs. And as you can see, a couple of my one-handed egg cracks have gotten a bit better since last week. We're also going to add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And just beat that together until nice and creamy. Alright, once we have that, we're going to add in 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and we're just going to mix that to combine. This batter has no leavening agents, so it will spread out a lot. Now, time to add the colors to our batter. Can't have a rainbow cake without rainbow colors. Evenly divide the batter into as many bowls as you want colors, and then just add in your food coloring. As you can see, I ended up having to switch to a brighter red dye for mine. And I accidentally added too much of it to my intended orange color, so I ended up just having extra red cookies and no orange. You could do that if you are short on food dye, or you just make a mistake. It's fine if you have a few less colors in your rainbow. It's still going to be a gorgeous rainbow. Alright, once we have our colors all mixed up, this might take a while, sorry about that. I like a more lighter color scheme, more like pastel, but you can do vibrant colors, you can do neon, you can do really dark, whatever you want your rainbow to look like. Alright, once these are all mixed up, line 2 baking sheets with baking parchment. Yeah, there it is. That's me combining the 2 red dyes. I had leftover cookies, which is never something to complain about. So we have 2 baking sheets lined with baking parchment, and we're just going to add the cookie dough to Ziploc bags. I ended up using small Ziploc bags because I didn't have a ton of batter of each because I divided it so much. Alright, just press out all the air so it's easier to squeeze, and then just cut a very small snip in the corner of one bag. It really does not have to be that big, just a little clip. Alright, once you have that out, pipe the cookies. They should be about 2 inches long, but you can always adjust. You can even make them circles if you want to. But that's how they get their name, tongue of the cat, because they look a little bit like cat tongues. And look, that already looks like a rainbow. So once you have all of your cookies made out, bake in a 425-degree oven for 8 to 10 minutes. I stored mine in the freezer because I was making mine a few days in advance. Just make sure you take them out before you assemble. As for assembling, we're going to make a whipped cream. I made a double batch so I could have leftovers for dessert, but the full recipe is 1 cup of whipped cream, 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And yes, I am finally using a hand mixer instead of a whisk or a spoon. I know, I usually use my hands a lot, but this was a lot easier. So we have semi-stiff peaks, and then we're going to take a loaf pan and line it with plastic wrap. Make sure there's overhang. You see that overhang? We want that. You'll see why in a minute. Alright, and we have our cookies. Mine have been softening for about a couple hours out of the freezer, but you could use yours as soon as they cool. We're going to start with our red color. Lay those down, make sure there aren't too many spaces. You could use an offset spatula, but honestly, it's easier and much more convenient to just use a small spoon. So I went with that. You don't want too much whipped cream, but you definitely want a defined layer. Then take your next color. I went with yellow. And mine did spread out quite a lot, so they kind of merged together into a big cookie sheet. But that's fine. It actually made it even easier to assemble. Now we have our green cookies. And just keep layering until you have every single layer of cookie in there that you want. If you're noticing that you have too many gaps, then you can just break your cookies into smaller pieces so that everything fits in there nice. We want even layers. Alright, and finally we're on to our last layer of purple cookies. Oh yeah, let's just frost this first. Make sure you get into every nook and cranny. I know this seems a little bit tedious, but don't worry, we want even, nice layers. It's gonna be so delicious and so pretty. All right, now we're finally laying our purple cookies down. These are the ones that merged together the most. I had just big sheets of purple cookie, but that made it so much easier to stack, so maybe I recommend letting the cookies spread out a little bit. All right, that's looking nice. So once you have your final layer of whipped cream, fold down the extra plastic wrap. See, that's why we did it. There's always a reason. And just give it a nice gentle press to combine. Store that in the refrigerator overnight. And it's time to plate. You can see I'm wearing a nicer shirt and the lighting's a little bit weird. That's because it's evening. All right, so take off the top of the plastic wrap and then put a platter, your serving platter, down on top, and then just remove the loaf pan and the rest of the plastic wrap. This time you do want to use an offset spatula, or at the very least, a butter knife, to smooth down the whipped cream. I made another batch of whipped cream, same recipe as before, 1 cup cream, 2 tablespoons powdered sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Beat to stiff peaks, and just smooth that on. We want smooth sides and a smooth top. Cover every bit of the cookie. And then just plate it however you want. Oh, but here's a nice trick. You can use a slightly damp towel to run over the edge of the platter if you got extra cream everywhere. That way it just looks nice and clean and pretty and even. All right, I went with fresh strawberries and chocolate syrup because it balanced the light vanilla flavor of the dish so nicely, the tart raspberries and the bittersweet chocolate. All right, so you just drizzle that on. You can use sprinkles, you can use whatever you want. All right, let's get a nice cross section on this thing. Look at that, isn't that a gorgeous rainbow? Even without the orange, we made it work. All right, just plate that up on there, serve with extra strawberries and chocolate sauce. And yeah, everyone loved this. We had guests over for the first time in months. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell for notifications. You can go to mollyscosykitchen.com for their recipes. Happy Pride, everyone!